The small fishing town of Pebblecrest hugged the coastline like a child clinging to its mother. White-capped waves lapped against the rocky shore, creating a symphony that had been the soundtrack to Emma Clarke's entire life. With fiery red hair that matched her spirited personality and eyes as blue as the deepest parts of the ocean, Emma was known throughout town as a curious child with an honest heart. Every morning before school, Emma would walk along the shoreline, collecting interesting shells and sea glass that had washed up overnight. Her pockets were always full, and her mother had long since given up on keeping sand out of the laundry. "You're going to be late again," her mother would call from the porch of their blue clapboard house that overlooked the bay. Emma would wave, promising to hurry, but always taking just a few more minutes to search for treasures. It was on one such morning, as dawn painted the sky in shades of pink and gold, that Emma's life changed forever. She had ventured farther than usual, to a small cove hidden behind a cluster of large rocks. The tide was unusually low, revealing tide pools teeming with life. Emma crouched down, fascinated by a starfish that clung to the side of a rock. "They're beautiful, aren't they?" came a melodic voice. Emma jumped, nearly falling into the tide pool. She looked around, but saw no one. "Over here," the voice called, a hint of amusement coloring the words. Emma turned toward the deeper water and gasped. There, with just her head and shoulders above the water, was a girl about her own age. But instead of wading in the shallows, she seemed to be floating effortlessly. Her hair was the color of the sea at twilight, streaked with what looked like strands of silver and gold that caught the early morning light. "Hello," the girl said, smiling to reveal teeth that were just a bit too pearly, too perfect. "I'm Marina." "I'm Emma," she replied automatically, stepping closer. "Are you swimming? The water must be freezing." Marina laughed, a sound like small bells tinkling. "The cold doesn't bother me. Would you like to see something amazing?" Without waiting for an answer, Marina dipped below the surface. What Emma saw next made her heart stop and then race with excitement. Where the girl's leg should have been was a magnificent tail, scales shimmering in blues, greens, and silvers as they caught the morning light. With a playful flip, Marina splashed water toward Emma before diving deeper, her tail momentarily breaching the surface like a dolphin. Emma stood frozen, droplets of salt water running down her face. A mermaid, a real, actual mermaid. She blinked hard, wondering if she had fallen asleep on the beach and was dreaming. But the cool water on her skin and the pounding of her heart felt too real to be a dream. Marina resurfaced a moment later, now holding a perfectly formed shell that spiraled to a delicate point, its surface iridescent in the morning light. "For you," she said, tossing it to Emma, who caught it with trembling hands. A token of friendship. "You're," Emma stammered. "A mermaid," Marina finished for her, "though we prefer merfolk. Less gendered." She grinned. "But you're real," Emma whispered. "Mermaids are real." "As real as you are," Marina replied, "though most humans have forgotten how to see us." "You're special, Emma." Before Emma could ask any of the million questions racing through her mind, a foghorn blasted from the harbor, signaling the return of the morning fishing boats. Marina's eyes widened with alarm. "I must go. The others don't like when I talk to humans." "Wait," Emma called. "Will I see you again?" Marina hesitated. "Come back tomorrow at dawn." "Come alone." And with that, she disappeared beneath the waves, leaving only ripples as evidence she had ever been there. Emma clutched the shell to her chest, her mind reeling. She had to tell someone. Everyone. But as she turned to race home, she heard her mother's voice calling her name, tinged with impatience and worry. "Emma Clarke, you're going to be late for school again." "A mermaid," her mother repeated, eyebrows raised as she placed a bowl of oatmeal in front of Emma. "Honey, you have such a wonderful imagination." "It's not imagination, Mom," Emma insisted, pulling the spiral shell from her pocket. "Look, she gave me this." Her father looked up from his newspaper, adjusting his glasses. "That's a lovely shell, kiddo, but you find shells on the beach all the time." "Not like this one," Emma said, her voice rising. "I didn't find it. Marina gave it to me." "Marina?" her mother asked, exchanging a look with her father. "The mermaid," Emma explained, frustration building. She has blue-green hair with silver streaks, and her tail glitters when it catches the light, and she can dive really deep. Emma, her father interrupted gently, mermaids are myths. They're wonderful stories, but they aren't real. But I saw her. Emma protested. Her mother sat down beside her, placing a hand on her forehead. No fever, she murmured. Did you fall asleep on the beach this morning? Sometimes our dreams can seem very real. I wasn't dreaming. Emma pulled away, eyes filling with tears of frustration. Why won't you believe me? That's enough, Emma, her father said firmly. Finish your breakfast or you'll be late for school. Emma stared at her oatmeal, appetite gone. The shell in her hand felt solid and real. Marina had been real too. Why couldn't they see that? At school, things only got worse. You saw what? Lily Patterson, Emma's best friend since kindergarten, stared at her with wide eyes during recess. A mermaid, Emma repeated, lowering her voice. She had learned her lesson after making her announcement to the entire class, only to be met with laughter and her teacher's concerned frown. Emma, Ms. Winters had said kindly after pulling her aside, it's wonderful to have an active imagination, but it's important to know the difference between pretend and reality. Now, sitting on the swings with Lily, Emma tried again. I know it sounds crazy, but she was real. Her name is Marina, and she's going to meet me tomorrow morning. Lily kicked at the wood chips beneath the swing. My mom says people who see things that aren't there need to see a doctor. I don't need a doctor. Emma snapped. I need someone to believe me. But by the end of the day, no one did. The story had spread throughout the small school, and everywhere Emma went, she heard whispers and giggles. There's the mermaid girl, someone said as she passed. Maybe she'll grow a tail and swim away. By the time she trudged home, shoulders slumped under the weight of disbelief. Emma felt utterly alone. Even her parents seemed to be watching her with worried expressions, speaking in hushed tones when they thought she couldn't hear. Should we call Dr. Matthews? Her mother whispered that evening. Let's give it a day or two, her father replied. She's always had an active imagination. It's probably just a phase. Emma pressed her face into her pillow, tears soaking the fabric. Only the smooth shell under her hand provided any comfort. She knew what she had seen. Why wouldn't anyone believe her? As if in answer to her silent question, a soft knock came at her door. When Emma didn't respond, the door creaked open anyway, and a familiar scent of lavender and vanilla drifted in. May I come in, little starfish? Came the gentle voice of Grandma Eliza. Emma rolled over, wiping her tears. Her grandmother stood in the doorway, her silver hair gleaming in the hallway light. Her eyes, the same ocean blue as Emma's, filled with kindness. Unlike Emma's parents, who both worked at the local hospital, Grandma Eliza had been a marine biologist before retiring. Her cottage on the edge of town was filled with specimens and books about ocean life. I heard you quite a day, Grandma Eliza said, sitting on the edge of the bed. Your mother called me. Emma sighed. They think I'm making it all up, or that I'm crazy. Grandma Eliza hummed, neither agreeing nor disagreeing. Tell me what you saw. And so Emma did, describing every detail of her encounter with Marina, from her melodic voice to the way her scales caught the light. Throughout her story, Grandma Eliza listened intently, asking questions that didn't question her sanity, but sought to understand the experience. When Emma finished, she held out the shell. She gave me this. Grandma Eliza took it, examining it with expert eyes. This is a rare specimen, she said thoughtfully. A spiral nautilus shell with unusual pigmentation. She handed it back to Emma. Quite a gift. Then you believe me? Emma asked, hope flaring in her chest. Grandma Eliza was quiet for a moment. I believe that you experienced something extraordinary, she said carefully. The ocean holds many secrets, Emma. Things science hasn't explained yet. It wasn't exactly the validation Emma had hoped for, but it was better than outright dismissal. Will you come with me tomorrow? To meet Marina? Grandma Eliza smiled. I have a better idea. Why don't you bring me evidence? Something that would convince even the most skeptical person. Like what? A photograph, perhaps? Or something that could only come from a mermaid? Emma's face lit up. That's Brilliant, Grandma. I'll take Dad's waterproof camera. Just remember, Grandma Eliza cautioned, approach with respect and care. If Marina is real, she's trusting you with a tremendous secret. For the first time since her discovery, Emma felt a spark of hope. Someone was at least willing to consider the possibility. As Grandma Eliza kissed her goodnight, Emma clutched to shelter her heart, determination replacing despair. Tomorrow she would get proof. Tomorrow, everyone would have to believe her. The next morning arrived with a sky heavy with clouds, the sunrise muted behind a veil of gray. Emma slipped out of bed before her alarm, heart pounding with anticipation. She dressed quickly, tucking her father's waterproof camera into her pocket alongside Marina's shell. As she crept down the stairs, a floorboard creaked beneath her foot. Emma froze, listening for any sign that her parents had heard. After a moment of silence, she continued toward the door, pausing only to scribble a note. Gone to the beach. Back for breakfast. The air outside held a metallic tang that presaged rain, and the wind whipped Emma's red hair around her face as she hurried along the path to the shore. The tide was higher today, waves crashing against the rocks with greater force, sending spray into the air like nature's own fireworks. Emma picked her way carefully to the hidden cove, mindful of the slippery rocks. The tide pools where she had first met Marina were now submerged beneath the rising water. Had she come too late? Or perhaps Marina wouldn't come at all. Sensing the approaching storm, Marina? Emma called, her voice nearly lost in the sound of crashing waves. Marina, are you there? Nothing. Just the endless rhythm of the sea against shore. Emma's shoulders slumped. Maybe it had been a dream after all. Maybe. A splash. Larger than what the waves would make. Deliberate. Emma spun around. And there just beyond the rocks was Marina. Her twilight hair plastered her head by the water, her expression both pleased and cautious. You came back, Marina said, swimming closer but still keeping a safe distance. Of course I did, Emma replied, stepping carefully toward the water's edge. No one believed me when I told them about you. Marina's expression darkened. Humans rarely believe what they cannot explain. It's safer that way for us. But I want them to believe, Emma said, pulling out the camera. Would it be okay if I took your picture? As proof. Marina tilted her head, considering. What would you do with this picture? Show my family. My friends. They think I made you up. And if they believe you, what then? Marina's voice had taken on an edge that Emma hadn't heard before. Would they come looking for me? For my family? Would scientists come with nets and tanks to study us? Emma hadn't thought that far ahead. I wouldn't let them hurt you, she promised quickly. Intentions and outcomes are often different things, Emma, Marina said, her voice softening. My people have stayed hidden for centuries for good reason. Emma's hand, still holding the camera, dropped to her side. Then why did you show yourself to me? A smile spread across Marina's face. Because you're different. You still see the world with wonder instead of skepticism. And she hesitated. Because I need your help. My help, Emma echoed, surprised. With what? Marina looked over her shoulder, as if checking if they were truly alone. The bay is changing. Something in the water. It's making us sick. Making everything sick. She gestured around. Have you noticed fewer fish? Fewer birds? Emma thought about it. Her father had mentioned poor fishing yields lately. The tide pools did seem less vibrant. There's a pipe, Marina continued, hidden beneath the water near the old factory. Black poison seeps from it when the moon is new. Our elders are too weak to find its source on land, and she looked down, I'm not supposed to interact with humans. You think it's pollution? Emma asked, momentarily forgetting her quest for proof. From the abandoned chemical plant? Marina nodded. We believe so. But we need evidence, and we need someone who can stop it from a human side. A laugh escaped Emma, tinged with irony. That's exactly what I need too. Evidence. Marina's eyes lit up with an idea. Perhaps we can help each other then. She disappeared beneath the surface for a moment, then returned with something clutched in her hand. She tossed it to Emma. It was a small object that looked like sea glass but seemed to glow from within, pulsing with a faint blue light. What is this? Emma asked, mesmerized. We call it Heartstone. It forms in the deepest caves where our kind dwell. It responds to merfolk presence grows brighter the closer we are. Marina smiled. Not quite a photograph, but perhaps evidence enough? And in exchange, you help me find the source of the poison. Emma closed her fingers around the glowing stone. It felt warm against her palm, almost alive. I'll help you, she promised. And I'll show this to my grandmother first. She's a marine biologist retired now, but she might know about the chemical plant and who to contact. Marina's eyes widened. A scientist? Can she be trusted? She's the only one who even half believed me about you, Emma assured her. And she loves the ocean more than anyone I know. A distant rumble of thunder punctuated their conversation. The storm was moving closer. I should go, Marina said, glancing at the darkening sky. Meet me here again in 2 days at dusk. Bring what you learn about the factory. She started to swim away, then paused. And Emma, be careful who you trust with our secret. Some truths are too beautiful or too terrible for everyone to handle. With that, she dove beneath the surface, her tail flashing once in the dim light before she vanished. Emma stood on the shore, the glowing stone in one hand, the camera forgotten in the other. She had come seeking proof of a mermaid's existence, but had found something far more significant. A mission, a purpose, and most importantly, a friend who trusted her. As the first raindrops began to fall, Emma turned and ran toward home, determination in every step. It no longer mattered if everyone believed her. What mattered was saving the bay for Marina, for the merfolk, for everyone. Emma, this has gone far enough, her father said, his voice tight with frustration. First mermaids, and now you're claiming the old chemical plant is dumping toxic waste? 2 days had passed since Emma's second meeting with Marina. 2 days of research, of sneaking into her grandmother's study to pore over maps of the bay, of trying to convince her parents that something serious was happening. The glowing stone had dimmed somewhat since Marina had given it to her, but still pulsed with a faint blue light when Emma held it. It's not a claim, Dad, Emma insisted. The evidence is all there. Grandma's records show fish populations declining near the old factory outflow. And this, she held up the Heartstone, this proves that there's something unusual in the bay. Her mother took the stone, examining it with clinical detachment. As a nurse, she was trained to look for rational explanations. This could be anything, Emma. Some kind of bioluminescent algae formed around a pebble. Perhaps it doesn't prove mermaids exist. Merfolk, Emma corrected automatically. And that's not just any stone. Marina gave it to me. It glows brighter when she's nearby. Her parents exchanged that look again, the one that spoke volumes without words. Concern, worry, perhaps even fear. Who is Marina exactly? Her father asked, his voice deliberately calm. I told you, Emma said, frustration building. She's a mermaid. She lives in the bay with her family. And they're getting sick because of whatever that factory is dumping. Her mother sat down beside her. Honey, I think it might be time to talk to Dr. Matthews. These fantasies, they're becoming concerning. They're not fantasies, Emma cried, snatching the Heartstone back. Why won't you believe me? Why won't you even consider that I might be telling the truth? Because mermaids don't exist. Her father finally snapped his patience at an end. Emma, you're 10 years old. That's too old to be confusing fantasy with reality like this. Emma felt something break. Inside her a dam of frustration and hurt. You think I'm lying? Or crazy? Fine. I'll prove it to you. She stormed toward the door. Emma Marie Clarke, don't you dare walk out that door, her father called. She paused, hand on the doorknob. I'm meeting Marina tonight. You can ground me tomorrow if you want, but I'm going. With that, she yanked the door open and ran out into the gathering dusk. Emma, her mother's voice called after her, but Emma didn't stop. Tears blurred her vision as she ran toward the path leading to the beach, her feet carrying her automatically toward the hidden cove. She was so focused on her escape that she didn't notice the figure sitting on the bench at the start of the beach path until a familiar voice called her name. Little starfish, what's the rush? Emma skidded to a halt, recognizing her grandmother. "Grandma Eliza, what are you doing here?" "Waiting for you," she replied simply. "Your mother called, quite distressed. She said you've been insisting on meeting your mermaid friend again tonight." Emma wiped at her tears with the back of her hand. "They think I'm crazy. Or lying. But I'm not, Grandma. Marina is real, and she needs my help." Grandma Eliza patted the bench beside her. "Show me your evidence." Emma hesitated, torn between her urgent meeting with Marina and the possibility of finally convincing someone. After a moment, she sat down and pulled out the heartstone from her pocket. In the fading light, its blue glow seemed stronger than before. "Fascinating," Grandma Eliza murmured, examining it without touching. "And you say it glows brighter when your mermaid friend is near?" "Yes. And look, it's getting brighter now. That means she's waiting for me." Indeed. The stone was pulsing more intensely, the blue light casting shadows on their faces in the growing darkness. Grandma Eliza handed the stone back to Emma. "Does Marina know about the pollution for certain? Or is she guessing?" The question caught Emma off guard. She said there's a pipe near the old factory that leaks black poison when the moon is new. Emma looked up at the sky, where the faintest sliver of moon was visible. "Like tonight." "The new moon," Grandma Eliza nodded thoughtfully, "when the tide is at its lowest. That would be the perfect time to release contaminants if one wanted them carried out to sea rather than washing back to shore." Emma stared at her grandmother in surprise. You believe me? About the pollution?" "The chemical plant has been officially closed for years," Grandma Eliza said. "But I've had my suspicions that some operations continued illegally. Your father was treated 3 patients last month with unusual respiratory symptoms who all lived near the bay. Then we have to do something." Emma stood up. "Marina is waiting. She's going to show me the pipe tonight." Grandma Eliza's eyes widened with alarm. "Underwater? Emma, that's far too dangerous." "Not underwater," she said. "At low tide, part of it is exposed on the rocks. We could get pictures. Grandma, real evidence to stop them." Grandma Eliza looked torn, glancing back toward town where, no doubt, Emma's parents were frantically searching for their daughter. "Emma, I understand and want to help, but we need to tell your parents where you are. They're worried sick." "They won't let me go," Emma said, desperation in her voice. "They'll make me see Dr. Matthews, and they'll never believe about Marina, and the pollution will keep making everyone sick, and—" "Breathe, little starfish," Grandma Eliza interrupted gently. "Here's what we'll do. I'll call your parents and tell them you're safe with me. I'll say we're doing some evening tide pool observation for science. That will buy us a little time." Hope bloomed in Emma's chest. "Really? You'll help me?" "I'll help you document the pollution," Grandma Eliza clarified. "As for Marina, I'll keep an open mind." She pulled out her phone. "But we do this properly. Safety first. I have waterproof flashlights in my car and proper boots, and we stay together at all times." As her grandmother made the call to her parents, Emma clutched the heartstone, watching its glow intensify. Marina was waiting, and for the first time, Emma wouldn't be facing this alone. The night air was thick with the smell of salt and impending rain as Emma and Grandma Eliza made their way carefully down the rocky path to the hidden cove. Wind whipped at their rain jackets, and the beam of Grandma Eliza's powerful flashlight bounced across the uneven terrain. "The tide's already turning," Grandma Eliza noted, checking her watch. "We need to be careful. When the tide comes in here, it comes in fast." Emma nodded, too focused on the heartstone in her palm to properly respond. Its blue glow had intensified to a brilliant sapphire, pulsing rapidly like a heartbeat. "She's close," Emma whispered, quickening her pace. The hidden cove came into view, transformed by the night and the storm. Waves crashed against the outer rocks with increasing fury, sending spray high into the air. The narrow beach where Emma had first seen Marina was now just a thin strip of wet sand. "Marina?" Emma called, her voice nearly lost in the wind. "Marina, I'm here." Nothing, just a relentless sound of water against rock. "Maybe we should come back tomorrow," Grandma Eliza suggested, eyeing the churning water with concern. This storm is picking up faster than forecast. No, Emma insisted. She's here, I know it. The stone. A flash of movement caught her eye. There, in a small pool formed by the rocky outcropping, a head broke the surface. Marina's twilight hair was immediately plastered to her face by the rain, but her eyes shone bright in the beam of Grandma Eliza's flashlight. "Emma!" she called, her musical voice carrying despite the wind. "You came." Her gaze shifted to Grandma Eliza, and caution replaced joy. "Who is this?" "My grandmother," Emma explained quickly, moving closer to the pool. "She believes me about the pollution. She wants to help." Marina studied Grandma Eliza for a long moment before nodding. "The pipe is exposed now, but not for long. We must hurry." Grandma Eliza stepped forward, shining her light toward the water. "Young lady, or forgive me, young mare person, are you certain it's safe? This storm is intensifying." "It's never safe to confront poison," Marina replied gravely. "But tonight may be our only chance. The humans only release it during the new moon, when they think no one is watching." "Where is it?" Emma asked, scanning the rocky shoreline. Marina pointed to a cluster of rocks about 50 yards down the shore. "There, behind the tallest stone." "Hurry, Emma." Emma started forward, but Grandma Eliza caught her arm. "Together," she reminded her firmly. They picked their way carefully across the rocks, flashlight beams bouncing off wet stone. The rain fell harder now, driven sideways by the wind. In the distance, thunder rumbled closer than before. "There!" Emma shouted suddenly, pointing. Half in between two large boulders was what looked like an industrial pipe, at least 2 feet in diameter. In the beam of their flashlights, they could see a thick, oily substance seeping from its mouth, forming a slick on the water's surface that spread outward with each wave. Grandma Eliza's face hardened. "Petroleum byproducts," she muttered, pulling out her phone to take pictures. "Possibly worse. This is highly illegal dumping." "See," Marina called from where she had followed them, staying in deeper water. "This is what's making my people sick, making everything sick." Emma turned to look at Marina, and for the first time, Grandma Eliza's flashlight beam fully illuminated the mermaid. There was no mistaking what they saw. The iridescent scales, the powerful tail, the webbed fingers. Marina was exactly as Emma had described, and utterly, impossibly real. Grandma Eliza gasped, her phone nearly slipping from suddenly numb fingers. "My God," she whispered, "you're real." "Of course I'm real," Marina replied, as if it were the most natural thing in the world. "Now hurry. The tide is turning." Indeed, the water was rising more rapidly now, waves crashing higher up the rocks. The pipe was already partially submerged again. "We need more evidence," Grandma Eliza said, recovering her composure with remarkable speed. "Something to identify where this pipe leads." She handed her phone to Emma. "Keep taking pictures while I see if there are any markings." As Emma documented the scene, Grandma Eliza examined the pipe, careful not to touch the toxic substance. "Here," she called after a moment, "there's a manufacturing stamp. CF Industries, 2015. But the factory was supposed to have closed in 2010. Emma said, snapping a picture of the stamp. "Exactly," Grandma Eliza replied grimly. "This is new equipment. Someone has been." Her words were cut off by a massive crack of thunder, so close it seemed to shake the very rocks beneath their feet. A bolt of lightning split the sky, illuminating the entire cove in stark relief for a brilliant second. And in that frozen moment of light, Emma saw something that made her blood run cold. A massive wave, taller than any that had come before, rising beyond the rocks that protected the cove. "Grandma!" she screamed. "Wave." Grandma Eliza looked up just as the wave crashed over the barrier rocks, sending a wall of water surging toward them. "Run!" she shouted, grabbing Emma's hand. "Higher ground." They scrambled up the rocks, but the water moved faster, sweeping around their feet, making the already slippery surface treacherous. Emma felt her foot slide out from under her, and suddenly she was falling, her grandmother's hand torn from her grasp. "Emma!" Grandma Eliza's terrified voice called as Emma hit the water with a splash. The cold was shocking, stealing her breath. Emma flailed, tried to find purchase, but the current pulled her away from the rocks toward the open sea. Her rain jacket, suddenly heavy with water, dragged her down. "Help!" she managed to cry before a wave crashed over her head, filling her mouth with salt water. She kicked desperately, breaking the surface again. "Grandma!" Through the rain and spray, she could see her grandmother on the rocks, trying to reach her with an outstretched branch, but Emma was already too far away, being pulled inexorably out to sea by the retreating wave. Fear unlike anything she had ever known gripped Emma's heart. This was how people drowned. This was how stories ended. Then something grabbed her ankle. Emma screamed, certain it was seaweed entangling her, dragging her down. But instead of pulling her under, she felt herself being propelled upward, breaking the surface with a gasp. "Hold on to me." Marina's voice commanded in her ear, "Arms around my neck." Emma complied without hesitation, wrapping her arms around the mermaid's shoulders. Marina's skin was smooth and surprisingly warm despite the cold water. "I've got you," Marina assured her, her powerful tail working beneath the water to keep them both afloat. "You're safe." "My grandmother," Emma gasped, looking back toward the shore. "She's on higher rocks now," Marina said. "She's safe too, but we need to get you back." With strength that belied her size, Marina began swimming toward shore, fighting against the current that had so easily overwhelmed Emma. Each powerful sweep of her tail moved them closer to safety. As they approached the rocks, Emma could see flashlight beams, more than just her grandmother's now. There were voices calling her name. "My parents," she realized. "They must have followed us." Marina hesitated. "More humans. I should go." "No," Emma said, still clinging to her. "They need to see you. They need to know the truth about you, about the pollution, about everything." Marina looked uncertain, but continued swimming until they reached a low rock where Emma could climb out. As Emma pulled herself up, coughing and shivering, the flashlight beams found them. "Emma!" Her father's voice, thick with fear and relief. "Oh my God, Emma." Then he was there, lifting her into his arms, holding her tight against his chest. Her mother was right behind him, wrapping a blanket around her shoulders, tears streaming down her face. You're okay,"